Hello everyone, I am CoolGuy, and today we're going to be going over two vendor auto rifles of the same archetype, the Vanguards Continental versus Dead Orbits Extremophile. These are of the 88 rate of fire and 8 impact class, and each week these vendor weapons have different roles, and we also get them from our rank up packages, so it's important to know what to look out for. On a base level, they are essentially the same exact gun with a stat or two going slightly to one or the other. The Extremophile has one more range at 27, the Continental has one more stability at 56. The Extremophile has two more reload at 80, and they have the same aim assist of 71. The Continental has one better recoil direction with 48, and the Extremophile has 4 better equip speed at 83. Same exact zoom factor of 15. On a base level, if these guns were just white, no paint job, no weapon skins, and one was put in your hand, it would be very difficult to tell the difference. Although aesthetics-wise, the Extremophile edges out the Continental, in my opinion. The perks, however, is the difference maker. The perk modes are set up differently for each weapon and have different perks in some cases that are specific to the gun. Some perks are the same, but in different nodes. Let's talk about the shared perks. They both can roll armor-piercing rounds, small bore, perfect balance, rodeo, crowd control, spray and play, hip fire, hidden hand, persistence, glass half full, counterbalance, and third eye. There are some perks that are specific. For the Continental, we have focused fire. It's not the best perk for this archetype. Battle Runner, it's a good perk. Eye of the Storm, decent for an auto rifle. Grenadier is a great perk. Close and/or personal is a great perk. We have Danger Close. It's not a good perk. It would be PvE specific, but even then there are better options. We have Braced Frame, huge stability boost at the cost of your magazine, and the magazine drops from 37 to 29. Hand-laid stock, we get that huge stability boost again, but it's the cost of range. The range stat goes from 26 to 14. We have a pinned magazine. It ups your magazine, but costs you reload speed, so 37 to 45. Feather mag, you get a better reload, reduced magazine, and then rifled barrel, we get a boost to our range and a reduction in reload. Before we talk about the Extremophile, let's get one thing clear. The Continental can have more range or stability than the Extremophile, regardless with these specific perks added. Mainly rifled barrel for range, braced or hand-laid stock for stability. Specific perks to the Extremophile are high caliber rounds, flared magwell, extended mag, lightweight, snapshot, quick draw, hammer forged, hot swap, and rangefinder. By any chance, did you catch the trend? Every one of these perks that are specific to the Extremophile are pure addition perks. When adding small amounts of magazine, reload, range, etc., they have no downside with reductions to another stat. Now, there might not be extreme advantages to stats like stability or range, but then again, there are no extreme disadvantages when adding these perks. There's only one perk that has a reduction with the Extremophile, and that is small bore, but the Continental can roll it as well. As we went over at the start, on a base level these are essentially clones, but these perks can make them perform completely different from one another. Because not only with having different perks in a side-to-side comparison, but also some of the same perks are in different nodes from one gun to the next. It gets confusing, but there are two main things that we can go off of. Number one, we can start with the last perk node. It has counterbalance, persistence, hidden hand, and glass half full. They can both roll these 4 perks, but as a 5th perk, the Continental has third eye thrown in there, and the Extremophile has rangefinder thrown in there. Second thing is a separation of perks. We have 2 categories. First category is upper tier perks, perks like crowd control, battle runner, close and or personal, counterbalance, things like that. Then the second category is player perks or stat boosting perks like lightweight, snapshot, small bore, braced frame. The Continental has 15 total upper tier perks and 8 player or stat perks. The Extremophile has 10 upper tier perks and then 11 player or stat perks. The way the Continental is set up, it makes you double up on the upper tier perks. If you look at the left side of the weapon, we have 10 total top tier perks. You get to choose one out of those 10. Now in the middle tree, you get an option of 8 stat perks, and then the final node gives you another top tier perk. The Extremophile, on the other hand, the left side gives you 8 total player or stat perks. The middle tree gives you the option of a stat perk again, or an upper tier perk, and then finally that last upper tier perk like counterbalance and hidden hand. And we could spend a full day going over all the possible perk combinations, but the goal right now is to bring up the highlights of the weapon. Things that are specific to the gun, what you need to look out for and take into consideration when a roll is given to you from a package or when it comes from the vendor. First, the Continental. Look out for rifled barrel, brace frame, or hand-laid stock. Rifled barrel being the #1 perk, it gives you range without affecting your stability, kind of like with our hand cannons. If you were to pair this with persistence or counterbalance, it's one of the strongest rolls you can ever get for the Continental. It's the best of both worlds. We get a lot of range and manageable recoil direction. With those two, the last perk is gravy that you would get, whether it be something like Grenadier or Battle Runner with the 10 total possibilities you get on that left side. Next is brace frame or hand-laid stock, and again remember the Extremophile can't even roll these perks. Both really help out the weapon, but hurt it at the same time. Having low range on this archetype isn't really ideal, so hand laid stock will give you the great benefit of stability, but you lose out on that range. Braced frame gives you the extreme advantage of stability, but the magazine goes down to 29, which makes going to a second target after getting a kill way more difficult without a reload. If you get one of these high stability perks that have these reductions, it would be ideal to get either Hidden Hand or Glass Half Full, but of course persistence and counterbalance is never bad, but Spray and Play would be the best possible perk paired for braced frame. In conclusion, for the Continental, it plays with extremes and specific perk combinations that make it special, so look out for Rifled Barrel, Braced Frame, Hand Laid Stock, Battle Runner, Close Interpersonal, and Grenadier. These are the main perks that separate it from the Extremophile. For the Extremophile, it's a lot more simple. The nodes are a building platform for the weapon. The way that the nodes work make it possible to have a very good weapon every single time it rolls to you. It depends on your playstyle. You can double up on a stat perk and only have one top tier perk, and that top tier perk being in that last node. Some perks that are specific to the Extremophile that make it top tier in a roll are high caliber rounds, extended mag, lightweight, quick draw, hammer forged, hot swap, and rangefinder. When you get the option of these perks, specifically the high caliber, hot swap, quick draw, rangefinder, they are to the Extremophile only. Crazy perk combinations like high caliber rounds, hot swap, and hidden hand, quick draw, hammer forge, and counterbalance, lots of usable rolls. And each time you get a Continental or Extremophile, keep the weapon's specific perks in mind, take a close look at them, and look for synergy. Think about this scenario. One player could have a great Extremophile that has high caliber rounds, perfect balance, and counterbalance, similar to the previous vendor roll, going up against a player that has a Continental with close interpersonal, rifled barrel, and counterbalance. One has the upper hand with flinch, one has the upper hand with close quarters engagements that follow up with a melee. What is important to note is this. Both of them would consider their guns perfect, while also thinking that the other player's weapon is not as good as the one that they're using. The guy with the Continental, he could have been elated that it rolled with close interpersonal. He's a Titan, he gets up in your face, he shoots you with the gun, then he follows it up with a melee. Meanwhile, the Extremophile guy would see close interpersonal, he would look at it and look at it as a letdown. He won't use that gun the way it should be used to bring out its full potential. Now on the other hand, the guy looking at the high caliber round Extremophile is thinking that that roll doesn't hold a candle to his Continental with close interpersonal. Remember that. Look at the rolls very closely to bring out the weapon's full potential. Each roll tells you something, and there are multiple good rolls for these weapons. For PvE, both are fairly vanilla. Honestly, the best combination for both of them is going to be crowd control paired with glass half full. With the Continental, braced frame is going to help because you're going to have the low magazine to get to glass half full a little bit quicker, and then the Extremophile having high caliber rounds to cause flinch to the PvE enemies. For PvP, it's a decent archetype. These auto rifles do 21 to the head and 16 to the body, but can this archetype be good? Yes, it can, especially in a 6v6 game mode. And you could talk about kill times like a 0.9 second kill time that it states, but remember, these are ease of use weapons. That requires a lot of precision. They aren't meant to be the absolute best, and they're meant to keep steady damage to spray your opponent down. So think about an average 1 second kill time, maybe sometimes a little bit more, maybe sometimes a little bit less, but the goal is to use the perks that you have to your advantage. Again, those things are Battle Runner, Rangefinder, Close Interpersonal, high caliber rounds. Is there a clear winner? Personally, no, I don't think so. In this comparison video, the purpose was to understand the guns inside and out on a bare bones level. That way, when the vendor reset happens or you get one of these guns from a package, you're going to be armed with the knowledge and understanding of what to look for. In the world of Destiny, we have two weapons here that are clones of one another, but play so much differently. And it goes to show with right perk combinations paired with a specific playstyle to the gun, we can have complete opposite play, making the roll work to its highest potential. Let me know in the comments section what rolls you like and what you're looking for, what you have. If you found the video helpful, a like is always appreciated. Until the next one, I am CoolGuy.